Thank you very much, Rumindu, and Zeenat, for introducing our speaker this morning. Um, Principals, this is the time that we start the presentation by Dr. Veerawarana, and without further ado, Sanjiva, I kindly invite you and open the floor for your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this, and it's great that you're doing this, Yutti, and great to see this effort from young people trying to help improve Sri Lanka's education, which is always something that we need to keep working on. So let me start with the from the technology side, right? So the way things are going today with artificial intelligence, I can get any information I want delivered to me in the way I want without basically free of cost, right? With little to no effort. So the ChatGPT, Gemini, and most of the other apps also, there are apps that you can install on any smartphone, which will speak to you in Sinhala or Tamil or English, and you can have a discussion about any topic. Right? All it takes is the curiosity of the person to interact with it. So if I want to learn about the school system in Sri Lanka, as long as the information has been there on the internet and and the computer models have read it, it knows everything about the school system in Sri Lanka. I don't need to ask somebody else. I can ask all the questions. I can ask about the syllabus. I can ask about how often NIE does the changes. I can ask about who the organizations involved are. All these things are available to anybody, right? As a and then as a student, if I now people, private tuition plays a big role in Sri Lanka's education, right? In WSO2, we have interviewed, I personally interview every single person who joins the company. We have 780 people in the company now. And when I have interviewed multiple people, especially from the Jaffna area, who have gone to 3 tuition classes per subject for A-levels. Because as we all know, if you get through A-levels and get into a public university, to one of the better public universities, then your life is on a certain trajectory. And if you don't get through that and you don't get to one of the good universities, you get into something, okay, that's on some trajectory. And if you don't get through to university, your path is on a whole different story today in the way the system works, right? Especially if your family doesn't have money to pay to go to a private university. There are very good private universities now, but it costs money, right? And some of these kids who have done these 3 tuition classes per subject start at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and go till 8, 9, 10 in the night. Right? This is not an exaggeration. I have interviewed people who directly told me this. This is what they did in order to get into Moratuwa University or Peradeniya University or whatever the top university that they got into, because it's a life and death opportunity for them. Not life and death. It's a dramatically life-changing environment, right? Now, there's somebody, I have a person who's a driver for me. His son is currently doing A-levels. And so I'm giving him guidance. So he goes for tuition classes. He goes to some place where there are, 1,000 students in the tuition class. But I'm also telling him, go to YouTube and watch videos instead of just going for a tuition class. Whatever topic you want to learn, it's available on YouTube. My own children, even right now, my youngest daughter just started a master's at NUS. When she needs to learn something beyond what is taught in the class, she goes to YouTube and watches a video, right? And then the other part I have told this person's son is use ChatGPT, use Gemini, and just talk to it. Whatever thing you don't understand, it will explain, right? So the technology's ability to teach is dramatic now. If the student wants to learn, that is the biggest thing. So I'll give another example. Recently, I saw a tweet somebody had said about learning languages, and that instead of going to and buying some software or going to a website or whatever to learn the language, they just started talking with the AI model. And the AI model will talk to you in whatever language you want. Right? I mean, it is singular translation is really good. I assume Tamil. I unfortunately don't know Tamil. I assume the Tamil speaking is better because of the Indian population. Tamil has a much larger sample set for the models to learn from. Therefore, generally, the models learn from the size of the sample set. So, if singular is good, Tamil should be much better, right? So, and English, obviously, because most content is in English, English is very well covered, right? So the technology is now at a point where if I really want to learn something, I will get a customized tutor that teaches me what I want, the way I want to learn it, and the way I can learn it. So when you have a classroom of, I first went to Thurston College, and I went to Royal College, and I went to, my father worked in Oman. I went to a school in Oman, then I came back to Royal, then I went to an American high school in India, right? And each person learns differently. But in these classes, when you have 30, 40, 50 students in the classroom, there's one teacher teaching 30, 40 people. So you teach it one way. For example, if you're teaching mathematics, you can teach it by example, you can teach it by formula, you can teach it by picture. And some people learn by listening, some people learn by reading, some people learn by doing. Right? But when you have 30, 40 students in the classroom, you can't do it in all possible combination of things. But AI can. Right? So first thing is to really spend some time learning and understanding artificial intelligence about what it is capable of doing, what is not capable of doing. Okay, so I think that's a very important, and you don't need to be a computer science person. You don't need to be anybody with technology knowledge to learn how to use these tools. These tools are just, you just literally talk to it. You can send messages to it by typing, or you can even verbally interact with it. Right? Now, as a school, the uh, so there's the the level that you're operating at, which is as principals, and then there are teachers, and there's the staff, and there's students. Right? So the students themselves are, if they have the right environment, they will have access to these tools. Now, I notice most of you are from faraway places from Colombo, and their bandwidth still has challenges. Phone quality still has challenges. People can't afford a very high-speed phone, and some of these apps do require some amount of computing power. The good news is you don't need a computer anymore. It used to be that if you don't have a computer, you are crippled. Now all you need is a phone. And smartphones are not that expensive. You can do quite a lot even from the lowest end smartphone. Then so that's at the student level. If you go all the way to the administration level, the ability for AI to read through various bits of information and summarize and help you is quite incredible. So for example, I think my video is slowing down. Is it on my side, or do you guys see anything? Let me just check my computer real
Sanjiva,
quick.
you're fine. You're fine.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Let me just kill my
can hear you,
browser
see
here.
you.
Okay, I'm good. Okay. Let me just kill. I see my CPU going up quite a bit. Okay. Let me just reduce the load on my machine just as a backup. Okay. All right. So the from an organizational support mechanism. So for example, in WSO2, now when somebody has to write a letter or something, they always use some AI tool, because then the letter is written in the way that it needs to be written. Because if you are sending a request to somebody, and if you write in a way that is not compelling, the other side doesn't read it effectively. With AI tools, it's not difficult to write anything anymore. So when you are in administration, and the time it would be taking to write a letter earlier versus write a letter now is 1/100th the amount of time, right? And so everything from, let's say you have some data and you want to put into a spreadsheet and you want to understand the spreadsheet. You can point to Google Gemini, you can point the spreadsheet and say, analyze the spreadsheet and tell me what it says about whatever the topic you want. Right? So from a management and leadership operational workload perspective, these tools have a huge impact. And of course for teaching as well. When you look at teaching, the ability for teachers to use these tools is tremendous. But of course, for that, you need the infrastructure, which I know is a difficult thing for most of you. Most schools don't have a screen in the classroom that you can show things. And even if you have a computer, and if you're going to share things, you do need a computer. That's also not available, right? So, however, for teachers, at least for their own material development, for learning, continuous learning, these tools will have a huge impact. But the thing that what I really want to talk to you about is not what the technology can do, but also what the technology cannot do. Now, there is a movement in the world, not in Sri Lanka yet, in the US, which says nobody should go to university anymore. And the argument is that, why do you need to spend 4 years studying something when I can learn what I need to do this task very quickly and then move on, right? In the US, there's a guy called Peter Thiel. He's one of the richest guys in the US. He started many of the big companies. He has a thing called the Thiel Fellowship now, where he gives the best of the best undergraduate students, sorry, not undergraduate, high school or 12th grade, 13th year, people who finish that year, saying, don't go to university, just come and work in one of their companies. And they give you like $100,000 a year salary. Right? University in the US is very expensive now. It costs $300,000-$400,000 to do a degree. And if you're really good, the university gives you a scholarship. If you're not good, your family has to pay. It's very difficult. So this is a shortcut, right? And the argument is, you don't need to learn all these other things. You just learn what you need to know. Now, the problem with that mindset is, education is not about knowledge only. Education is also about learning to work with each other, learning how to be with people, etc. And the things that I learned, all of us learned in school is not only what we learned inside the classroom, right? And now more and more, most people, unfortunately, even if you go to Royal College, gets whatever, very good grades in A-levels, very good grades in O-levels. But for almost every single student goes to private tuition. So you're calling it Royal College results, but it's not Royal College results. It's Royal College plus private tuition results, right? And so you can't really say, but the thing that you learn from a school is not just the knowledge, it is the things that you learn in the playground. These are things you learn to fight and settle a fight, have a discussion, have the interaction with people. So for example, when I was in school, Sajid Premadasa is in my same year. He was in a parallel, he was not in my class, in any of the classes that I remember. He was in a parallel class, right? So Sajid was then, R. Premadasa was the prime minister, or was a senior person, right? He was I think he was prime minister in the 80s.
Yes,
he was a prime minister's son, right? And so prime minister's son was in the school, and there was another child in the school who was in my class, who I remember very well, who didn't have enough money to buy a shirt, right? So you had that whole spectrum in school. So in school, you learn how to work with everybody. With technology, you don't learn anything about people. You learn only about the knowledge. So one of the most important things, in my view, in the school is the physical environment, is how students can step out of the classroom and work with each other, the time they spend, the interval. I used to go to school when I was in grade 2, 3. I used to go to school at 6 o'clock in the morning. Not because there was no need to be there, but because there would be a bunch of people playing. So by the time 7:30 comes and you start school, we've been playing for an hour and a half, or at least an hour. Right? And during that playing time, you're interacting with people, you're doing various things. Because remember, this is the era before smartphones and all this digital nonsense, right? So we had, if you wanted to entertain yourself, you had to find somebody to play with. There was no, silly little screen to look at the whole time. And I think what you learn from those environments is what the school really, the value school brings. So my view is, while technology dramatically changes the ability to deliver knowledge and the access to knowledge, because there was a time when I needed to go to a particular teacher, a private teacher, or whatever, if I needed some extra help. Now, if I want some extra help, I can ask this, artificially intelligent piece of software to help me with something, and it can do it the way I understand it. There's a friend of mine recently who has a 6-year-old son, and he wanted to teach this child mathematics, right? And instead of just sitting and teaching mathematics, he asked Google Gemini, which is another like ChatGPT like tool, to create an application, a game that would teach mathematics to a 6-year-old. And it created something that kid just loves to play, right? Now, there was no need to, and he didn't have to write a line of code. He just told it, this is what I need. I have a 6-year-old son. This is his style of learning. This is his behavior. Now, I want you to create a game that will engage him and allow him to learn, right? So whereas, if you don't have that level of customized technology available, you can go and buy some software somebody's written saying, this is how you teach 6-year-olds how to learn mathematics. But that is for every 6-year-old in the world, right? In Sri Lanka, there are approximately 300,000 6-year-olds every year, right? 300,000 people come into the school system every year, right? That's just in Sri Lanka. So the software companies write this stuff for everybody in the world. Whereas with AI, I can create something just for me now, right? Just for my son or my daughter or my child or whatever, right? And that can then be fine-tuned, make it work exactly the way it needs to work for the students who are for that child, not just for all children, right? This personalized experience is something that technology can give. But what technology doesn't give is the ability to interact with people. So the role of the principal, in my mind, is critically important in this, because the principal is who sets the operating environment for the school. So I'm sure most of you, certainly me, and probably most of you, when we grew up, the principal in the school was a scary figure, right? At least in the schools I went to, you saw the principal, you stand straight, lean against the wall, you let them pass, right? I say I born you should, right? That was a requirement. Otherwise, okay, in my time, we would, we would get hammered otherwise if you didn't say that. Now you're not supposed to do that, so don't do that. But that was the model, and but it was more on fear. It wasn't I respected the principal, of course, but you were also very scared of the principal. And the teachers also are operating in a very structured way. The atmosphere now, more and more. So I run a software company. In most companies in Sri Lanka, the CEO is supposed to be a feared person, right? There are, in WSO2, everybody calls everybody by the first name. I don't have a special parking spot. I don't have a special table. We don't have special bathrooms. Nobody has special plates to eat at. We all eat at the same table. Everything, no difference, right? That is the environment that creates an environment for people to inspire and create ideas. If you want to create an environment to let people do what they're really good at doing, you can't have fear in the system. If you have fear in the system, you're scared of failing, because if I do something wrong, there's a punishment waiting for me. In an environment of inspiration, there's no punishment. There's guidance waiting for me when something goes wrong, right? The principal is the root of creating that environment in a school. Technology now makes it easier to create that environment because technology takes a lot of pressure off the other work. The work that you have to do, I know I've worked with Minister of Education for a long time on various digital things, trying to help build various things, right? So, and I've been on the council of Moratuwa University, Colombo University. I've been on many research institution boards. I know the amount of work that you have to do as a principal. There's a lot of stuff, and you get random requests from people. You have to reply to that. All this information, all this work that has been done. But the real job is not that, right? The real job is creating an environment that the students thrive in and the teachers thrive in. Because if the teachers don't thrive, they also can't innovate freely. They will also just operate in fear. So I think to me, the real role and responsibility of a school principal, who is the leader of the school, is no different than being a leader of a company. Right now, I understand there's a big difference between a private company and a government principal role because you have resource constraints, you have limited authority, you can't fire somebody. There's all these complications. Right? Even if somebody is not doing their job, you can't move them out. There's all these complications. That is true. The same time, there are no complications on being somebody who inspires others. And that's the thing that I think in a technology-rich environment, going back to fundamentals of what it means to be human is the way of the future. Technology will solve many, many problems for us. And it has already solved many. I mean, we're having this conversation over Zoom, right? And as people are joining from all over the country. I'll tell you in 1998, when I came back to Sri Lanka in 2001. 2002, I went back. My daughter was born. I was in the US. I used to teach a class at Moratuwa University. And in 2002, I taught the class remotely at 2 a.m. from the US using Yahoo Video. Yahoo Video was like a stamp size video you could see. It was teaching remotely like this, but 2002, that was 24 years ago, right? And the bandwidth was not like this. Audio would drop, video was not great, but still it was possible, right? So technology can solve, and of course, in the 20 years since, we are having these conversations, and it feels like, there's no delay, right? If I touch my ear, you see me touching the ear immediately, not like, like that and like that, right? And then suddenly like that, right? That's what choppy video means. So technology is constantly evolving, constantly becoming lower cost, constantly going to make problems get solved. But it cannot solve the problem of an environment of fearless, supportive, inspiring operating model. And the school is the place that has to be that. I'll tell you one more thing, and maybe I will stop after that and we can have a discussion on any topic you want. I have another foundation I started called Avinya Foundation. Avinya Foundation's goal is to give people who finish school with nothing in their plate a way forward, right? So I can't remember the exact percentage in the last couple of years, but in the range of 30+% fail O levels. And then people who go to A levels, significant percentage fail A levels, right? And if the family has money, it doesn't really matter what happens there. You can find some way forward. If the family is very poor, these children now have to bring money to the home, right? So what that means is, I'm assuming, unlike most of us, where our families had the luxury to allow us to study without supporting the family till we were in our 20s, right? This is a luxury. Avinya takes kids who don't have that luxury, right? And also there's a lot of drug problems, family problems, all kinds of things going on, okay? So, for these kids, the thing we are trying to do is to give them some hope for a future have them create a vision for themselves. Because most of these kids are people who in school were not very good in their work, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be in this position, and therefore were constantly marginalized in the classroom. And I don't blame the teachers, because you have 40 students to teach. You don't have time to deal with the 2-3 people in the class who are not getting anything. So they fall constantly behind. They never get ahead. Right? They're always behind, and every year they get behind even more. And our education system obviously doesn't fail anybody. We have social promotion. So you go from grade 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to and so on. And you never fail, even though you are not competent at that level. And then you do fail at O level, because that's a standard line for everybody. Right? There's no variation on that line. You don't automatically pass O level. And if you don't pass O level, the options you have in front of you are very, very limited. Right? Now, of course, there's a 13 years of education program, which is really good, which is being done, but still only in, I think, 600 or so schools. That allows people, even if they fail O level, to come back to school and do something. But there are problems in the program, but the idea is very good, right? So with Avinya, we are taking these kids who are really broken in many ways when they finish, and we're trying to create an atmosphere. Most of the effort is on creating an environment for the students to get a chance to believe in themselves. So this is, to me, again, the school is a safe haven for many people. They leave home. It shouldn't be the place they're waiting to get out of. It should be the place where they're waiting to get into and stay as long as you can, because all the friends are there. That's where your life is, the real life, right? So that environment is not something technology can ever create or will ever create. Technology is creating us more and more separate, not more and more together. You see what's going on in the US right now. If you pay attention to any of the news with what's going on in the US with the way and the immigration issues that are going on. All over the world, technology is creating divisions. Right? If you watch YouTube, if you watch one YouTube video about mathematics is hard, for example, you'll see video after video after video saying mathematics is hard. And mathematics is not hard at all. You just haven't been taught how to think about mathematics the right way. People haven't figured it out. There's nothing hard about mathematics if you think about it the right way. If you watch something saying, let's say, something about war or something, it'll constantly feed that to you, because the algorithm's only purpose in all these tools, I'm sure all the students who have access to phones are on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever, right? The software's only job is to keep you coming back to it. They don't care about whether I'm polarizing you, whether I'm messing up your mind. It doesn't matter. As long as you keep coming back, I can show you more ads. More ads means more money. Simple as that, right? So all these systems are constantly separating us, because I can create a world for me to believe, another world for you to believe, another one for you to believe, another one for Zina to believe, etc., etc., right? And school is the environment that brings people together. So you have the opportunity to influence students for 12 years, the most important 12 years of their life, from the time they're 6 to till they're 18, roughly, right? And that atmosphere, if that atmosphere is correct, that is the foundation of building a great country. So that is where people learn everything. That is where people become who they are. And when that breaks, when they come out busted, what we are finding at Avinya level kind of effort is very, very difficult, because they have been really, really messed up. It's very hard. And the drop-off rate to the level of support they need, very, very difficult to keep them going. Right. So I think that's, and the root of all that, the opportunity, the control place, the place where you can set the tone is the principal. So I think technology provides a lot of vehicles to achieve that. But it's a culture of the organization that makes a difference. So if the people, it's Sri Lanka, because of our British influenced nonsense that we have been left with, we have a lot of hierarchy in our system, right? People, in school, at least when I went to school, I don't know whether it's right now like that now. If you ask a dumb question, you would get yelled at. So students learn not to ask questions unless they think it's a good question, right? And that is that. Then you start fearing. So you don't ask any question because I don't know. I don't know if it's a good question or a bad question. I'll get yelled at. I'll be in trouble, right? Or you're disruptive to the class. That fear comes from the entire environment. So if you work in WSO2, if you ask a dumb question, there is no dumb question. Somebody will answer it. That's it, right? The confidence that you get when there is no attacking somebody because they are not up to speed yet is amazing. And that environment is the role of the principal to create in the organization, in my view. And the school, school in Sinhalese, it's a game pasala also, right? Game pansala, game pasala, and every religion, whatever the religion it is, doesn't matter. To me, the school plays both the role of being a place for the students who are in the school and also a community facility for everybody. And that's something, because when I see a school working from 7:30 to 1:30 and then it's shut down and gates are closed and you have all this place doing nothing, it's such a waste. Especially if you have a computer lab in there, nobody's using it. Or you have all this, some schools have these TV screens that are being put into it. And they're off from 2 p.m. until next day in the morning. That's a tragedy. And school is on holiday, it's off. So these are things that I think we need to think about and see, how do you make the school into something that becomes the center of the community and has a role to bring people together and provide, and gives the environment for leadership in that community. So maybe I will stop with that. I know I kind of went all over the place, but for me, the principal and the school, it's not only about technology. Artificial intelligence and all kinds of technology makes many things that are difficult very easy now. It creates a whole nother set of challenges, which is all about the human side of the equation. And fundamentally, the reason I went on this path is because fundamentally, that is really what school is about. In English, there's a saying about, I can't remember the exact wording, but something along the lines of everything I need to learn, I learned in kindergarten. Because in kindergarten, you're supposed to learn how to share, learn how to be nice to each other, a whole bunch of things, which is really what matters. Whether I know some computer science or mathematics or physics, something, those are tools to do something. But as humans, those are what matters. And technology can't deliver that, but the school environment can.
Great. Sanjiva, thank you so much for sharing those ideas. Your last thought actually triggered something in my mind, which was basically, probably you have heard of it. Harvard University has done the longest study in human happiness, and what they found out was the same generation. They were tracking from 18 years to 100 years, the same generation, the same people. And what they found out was that the most successful, the happiest people were people who had good relationships with people. So I think that was the crux of what you said in terms of the school atmosphere and the kind of the positive atmosphere to create. So starting from there, Sanjiva, the topic today is basically technology and innovation. And you touched on the big picture in terms of technology and what technology can do for us. Sanjiva, what do you think is like maybe like specific things, because there are two things about our approach to this webinar. One thing is that we are solution focused, right? Not problem focused, right?
Yep.
So that is one. And the second thing is also that be share things in this webinar that our principal leaders could basically take back with them and to implement in their schools? Because otherwise this is not going to be a value for you, because you would have just spoken and nothing would have happened basically, right? So Sanjiva, in terms of the second, which is basically because you were talking about creating an atmosphere, right? A positive, inspiring atmosphere for teachers and students to thrive. Okay, so that's like the big picture. So what are, Sanjiva, in your view as a principal, because you are fully aware of the constraints that a Sri Lankan government school principal operates in, what are like some specific things that school principals can do to enhance technology and innovation in schools?
Okay. So again, part of the operating reality of constraints is that you may not be able to get the technology that you want to have, right? So let's take it case by case. Let's say you have a infrastructure in the school, some network connectivity, some classrooms, some some computer lab at least that you can use, right? And now those labs, first of all, should be used every hour. There should be no time that they're not used, right? And they should be left open till as late as safely possible, whether it is 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, if it can be done safe possible, right? As long as safely possible. Start early in the morning. Athletics, people who are doing athletics start coming at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning for practice. Why aren't people who are going to use the computer coming at that time? So as early as possible till late as night. That's the first thing I would strongly recommend. Second thing is, people worry about students accessing inappropriate material, whether it is pornography or political material or whatever. That's obviously a challenge, because if somebody accesses pornographic material from inside school, now that person, you can deal with it inside the school, but if some political thing finds out that happened, then they make a huge thing out of it, right? And the whole school gets hammered. I mean, like what's going on, education reforms, things become political instead of being something that has been managed in that situation. So, but generally, an environment that says you can't use the internet is a non-existing digital environment today. So in today, everything depends on internet connectivity. So if you have a lab that has internet access and the students are not allowed to use the internet because they might go to a porn site, that's a problem, because you can't do anything without the internet. If you're going to do AI, every time you go to ChatGPT, I'm saying ChatGPT, but I'm assuming everybody has tried something with ChatGPT. If not, please go to chatgpt.com on your phone, on the browser. If it's on the phone, you can install the app, right? Or to Google Gemini, they're both equally good. And just type anything you want and see. Basically, you have a human level assistant who knows everything, right? Who knows everything that's been published, who has memorized everything that's been published, and they can play it back at you. And now, so if you want to use something like ChatGPT, every time you go to ChatGPT and say hello to it, there's a massive supercomputer size computer that runs to reply back to you, right? Somewhere in the world, there's a huge amount of computing that it gets executed when you go and say hello, and it replies back to you. That only happens through the internet. So if you reduce access to the internet, you lose everything. So the way the world works now, because there was a time when it was like, okay, safe environment for schools means we have a computer, we use things inside, basically. So I think the first thing is, if your school has a policy of saying don't allow people to use the internet, you have to remove that. And then now there are ways of blacklisting certain sites, as ways of controlling some accesses. And that's good. You should do that. But people have to be able to use Google search. People have to be able to Google search or whatever other search mechanism you want to use. They have to be able to use the AI models. So there's ChatGPT, that is Gemini, that is Grok, that is all these different things. And restricting is not helpful anymore because people can't do anything with it. So in terms of concrete things, Yukti, my first suggestion is make sure the computing facilities that you have available are used 24/7. You can't do it 24/7, at least 10 hours a day. They use 10 hours a day, made available for students to use at least 10 hours a day. And for teachers to use all the time whenever they want to. Second thing is don't restrict access. Right? And if somebody accesses something that they shouldn't access, talk to them and show them why they shouldn't access that. Why this is the wrong thing to understand. This is not the way of life. And get people to access it. Because you're not going to stop everything. What happens is, most children have access to smartphones now. And on smartphones, these are not restricted. So everybody's accessing it anyway. You're just pretending they're not accessing it. So I would say that's the most first step to do. Now, if you don't have computing infrastructure in the school, then now you're relying, unfortunately, on teachers and their phones. Now, most teachers will have a phone probably, but data is expensive. Phones are expensive. Then you have a big problem. And in those areas where school has no physical infrastructure at all, probably bandwidth is also not very good. Without 4G level connectivity, it is quite difficult to do a lot of the things that you can do with these tools now, right? If you are trying to explain, let me give a simple example. Let's say you're trying to explain evolutionary biology or explain how plants grow or something. Earlier, we would have to go to the whiteboard or the blackboard and draw something and explain it out, or look at the fixed picture that's in the textbook. Now I can create an animation just for this class right now, then and there, if the tool is available, right? And it basically is free. So when you don't have the equipment, it is quite challenging. So I think then, of course, maybe private foundations to government. I know the government is pushing as hard as it can to get technology connectivity to the schools, but in the end, I'll tell you, I went to, I was in Thurston, then Royal got a computer in 1981. Radio Shack, I think, donated a computer to Royal College, right? TRS-80, it was called, something TRS-80, Radio Shack TRS-80. It's called, later the joke was Trash 80. And this computer was in a room that was locked and kept and was open from like 2 to 4 p.m. Right? This is Royal College. Right? This is a tragedy. The computer does nothing when it's sleeping, when it's off. No computer should be off at all, ever. If you have a laptop, don't turn it off, by the way. When you turn the laptop off, you are allowing moisture to go in and destroy the computer. I never turn my computer off. Right? I never turn it off. Nobody should turn a computer off. It's like a phone. Nobody should ever turn it off. It's meant to run continuously. And if it is doing nothing, it's doing no value. So if you have computers in your school and you don't let your students and your teachers use it all the time, they're dying. They have a very limited time frame. They live for 3 years, 5 years maximum. After that, the computer is useless because it's too slow to run the new things that have come out. So utilize the computer for its lifetime all the time. If you can set up a way for somebody, if it's laptops, if people can take it home, work on it overnight, bring it back, that's good. It's not bad, it's good. So I think most important thing is use the equipment and don't fear it. Yes, somebody will break the rules. Yes, somebody will go and do something they're not supposed to. Teach the person not to do it. Don't blacklist them forever from that because they'll get it from somewhere else. Right? Give them the guidance and don't tell them not to, tell them not to do it in this environment. They will do it anyway. All of us, when we were younger, we did what we wanted to do, right? Our parents told us all kinds of things, don't do this, don't do that. We found a way to do what we wanted, right? Remember when we were young, that's what we did. All these young kids don't know what they're talking about, but older people.
Right. Yeah.
In my time, when we left home till we came home, the parents had no idea where we went, who we went with, what time we were coming back. Right? We did whatever we wanted to do. Today, of course, because of phones, parents have a lot more control over you guys who are younger. My kids are now older. They're 27, 23, and 30, 27, and 23. So I don't have this problem, but I have my niece and nephew nephew is 17, niece is 13. It's very difficult to manage them because of technology.
Yeah. Thanks, Sanjiva. So the thing is, let's get some feedback from the principals. So, Principal Anoma, because Sanjiva did mention, some specific things for you to do because I want to troubleshoot, right? Because none of the principals who is here at the webinar and who will be watching this video when we post it, for the public to see, should get the impression that we are talking here about something which is not practical to do, right? So the thing is, Principal Anuma, if you could please sort of comment on what has been said so far. Is it practical in your situation? How can we help you to implement, to put these things into action, which I don't think is like rocket science. Yeah, Principal Anoma, could we have your feedback? Please, you can unmute and ask. Or Principal
Sir?
Anoma has gone for breakfast.
she's
Yeah,
Sir?
hello. Yeah, hello. Are you there?
Sir,
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
By the way, you can ask your questions in Sinhalese or Tamil, and we'll translate that. Our response will be to you in English, so you can ask in Sinhalese also. Singaling unat ahanna puluwan. Yeah, and also Tamil speakers can ask in Tamil also. We will translate that into English, and we'll get Dr. Weerawarana to respond to it. Yeah. May Principal Anuma Singaling kiyan. You can say in Sinhala.
Sir?
Yes, speak. Yeah, kiyan.
Sir, වැඩසටහන ගැනද?
දැන් ඩොක්ටර් වීරවර්ණ කිව්වා ප්‍රින්සිපල්ස්ලට මේක තමයි ඒ කියන්නේ මේ තාක්ෂණය ඒ වගේම නවෝත්පාදනය ගැන ඒ වගේ මේ එන්වයරන්මන්ට් එකක් හදන්න කියලා ඉස්කෝලවල වල. එයා ප්‍රැක්ටිකල් එක්සැම්පල්ස් දුන්නා කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා. ප්‍රින්සිපල් අනෝමගෙන් අහන්නේ මේක ඔයාට ප්‍රායෝගිකද කියලා මැඩම්.
ඔව් සර්. ප්‍රායෝගික ඇත්තටම වැඩසටහන හොඳයි සර්. ඉස්කෝලේ තුල දැන් අපි මොණරාගල දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ වෙල්ලස්ස ජාතික පාසලේ. ඉතින් ඇත්තටම මේ වගේ වැඩසටහනක් පාසල් තුල ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා මම හිතනවා. වැඩසටහන හොඳයි සර්.
මැඩම් ඉස්කෝලේ මේ කම්පියුටර්ස් කීයක් තියෙනවද?
කම්පියුටර්ස් 30ක් විතර වගේ තියෙනවා සර්.
විතර තියෙනවා. දැන් ඒක ලැබ් එකක තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද තියෙන්නේ?
ලැබ් දෙකක් තියෙනවා සර්.
ලැබ් දෙකක තියෙනවා. හරි. එතකොට ඒකේ ඉන්ටර්නෙට් කනෙක්ෂන් තියෙනවද?
තියෙනවා.
ඕකේ. දැනට කොහොමද ඒක පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ?
දැනට මේ ICT කරන ළමයින්ට විතරක් වගේ තමයි පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ. කියන්නේ ක්ලාස් එකක ළමයි 40ක් විතර වගේ ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලන්ට විතරයි ගොඩාක් දුරට මේ කම්පියුටර්ස් භාවිතය සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ.
ඒතර හවසට ඉස්කෝලේ ඉවරුණාන් පස්සේ කම්පියුටර් පාවිච්චි කරනවද කවුරු හරි?
එහෙම කරන්නේ නැහැ සර්.
Okay.
අඩුයි.
Okay. Oh. Then මම ගොඩක් maybe I will answer in English if
Yes, please. Yes,
Yeah.
because otherwise some of the
Yeah,
principals won't
yeah.
be able to understand what
Yes.
you're saying.
So I think what you said, madam, is that there are about 30 computers. You have 2 labs, and you have internet connectivity, and the computers are used primarily for the ICT programs, for the ICT subjects, and and in that hour, and it is mostly not used after school. So I think the first thing is computing today is like English is today. It is a foundational skill that everybody must have. So it doesn't matter whether it is the ICT subject or any subject, a computer is a tool now, especially because of artificial intelligence. Right? Maybe just give me a minute and I will explain what this new artificial intelligence push is, right? So the word artificial intelligence has been there from 1950s. Okay. And there are many aspects of artificial intelligence. One of them is this thing called neural network based artificial intelligence. Neural network is trying to model computer software in the way we think our brains neurons work. That's why I call neural networks. A particular aspect of that is something called deep learning. Deep learning means neural networks which are very large, let's say in simple terms, right? And a particular aspect of that is the current technology used behind what normal people call AI, something called generative AI, which is a way of generating information from things it has seen before. The way this stuff works now is first, this software, there's a program that's written to read the entire internet. Every single thing that has ever been written and published on the internet is downloaded to a computer. Every single thing. So let's say there's a textbook written in English, if there's a textbook written in Tamil, textbook written in Japanese, textbook written in Korean, textbook in Sinhalese, it doesn't matter. If it's on the internet, it will download it, right? Every news article ever written, every blog ever written, every word in on this foundation's website, everything from every government website in Sri Lanka, every single thing is downloaded. Then it calculates the sequence in which these words occur in all these documents. Basically, there's a probability calculation. So if you are familiar with mathematics, it says, okay, when I'm talking now, after saying when I'm talking, I said the word now, right? I said when I'm talking now. So I said when I'm talking and then now. Then by reading everything that has ever been written, I can calculate when somebody says when I'm talking, what is the probability that the next word is now, right? Or versus some other word. Then those probabilities are all calculated. Then when you talk to it, when you go and ask it a question, you go to ChatGPT and ask a question, what it's doing is calculating the likelihood, the best next word constantly, right? So there is no intelligence. It is just saying, based on everything that's in the internet, I'm playing it back to you, right? So what that means is I can ask these systems any question. Earlier, sorry, I was continuing English. You know, in our ICT subject, if you look at our ICT syllabus, right? You know, we teach how to use Microsoft Word. We teach how to use PowerPoint. We teach all these things. We teach about a mouse and a thing and so forth, right? But if you give a 2-year-old child a phone, a smartphone, they learn how to use it. They don't need to learn what a mouse and a pointer and a disk and a memory and a CPU and Word and all this stuff, right? Now, so computing is natural to people through these devices. It is not natural through the traditional computing devices. Right? Now, if I take somebody who's has never touched a computer before, and I put them in front of ChatGPT, and I ask them to talk to it, they won't have any problem, right? I mean, I don't know that I can do it and demonstrate right now if you want. If I open the ChatGPT application, right, I can just talk to it and it'll talk back to me just like a normal human being, right? So I don't need to understand keyboards, mouse, windows, all these things to do this now. So to me, computing is a fundamental skill that everybody needs to use now. And the computing doesn't mean anymore this thing that, oh, I got to know where this QWERTY keyboard is, right? Or the QWERTY is the English language format. The first 5 letters are 6 letters, I guess. 6 letters are QWERTY, QWERTY. That's what it's called, the QWERTY keyboard, right? Now, so it is very, very important that in schools, we go beyond saying the computer is only available for ICT subjects. The computer is a tool. If I don't understand mathematics, I can go and ask it about mathematics and it'll just explain it to me, right? Let me just very quickly, I'll just, if it's okay, let me just run ChatGPT and show this, right?
Okay.
So I'm running I'm just going to do it on the phone, so it's easier, right?
Sure.
I just started the ChatGPT app on my phone. I didn't go to the website, right? There's a button on there to turn on voice mode, right? Now I did that. Now let me ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I'm talking to school principals in Sri Lanka about using technology. Can you give me 3 things that they can practically do given the restrictions of being a principal in Sri Lanka?
Absolutely. Here are 3 practical things they can do. Leverage offline educational resources. They can use preloaded educational apps and resources on tablets or computers. So even if internet connectivity is limited, students still have access to quality content. 2, teacher training and professional development. They can organize regular virtual or in-person workshops for teachers, focusing on integrating technology into their teaching methods, even using simple tools like Google Classroom or educational videos. And 3, digital collaboration, encourage collaboration.
Okay, now that's enough. Now, can you tell that to me in Sinhalese?
හොඳයි. එතනින් 3ක් මෙසේ කියන්නවන් පුළුවන්. අද අන්තර්ජාලයට අමතර අධ්‍යාපන සම්පූර්ණය හවිතය සරස්වතුන්ට සාසිසුන්ට ඉන්ටර්නෙට් සම්බන්ධ.
Okay, now that's enough. Now, can you tell that to me in Tamil?
சரி அப்போ அந்த 3 விஷயங்களை தமிழ் மொழியில் இதோ இன்டர்நெட் இணைப்பு குறைவாக இருந்தாலும் மஜ்ஜிமாக.
Okay, thank you. That's enough, right? Okay. Okay, right. So okay, the Sinhala was not very good. I assume Tamil was not very good, but it's still for somebody. The point is, I can ask about anything. Now, how does it know? I mean, now the answers are not great unless you give it the right set of information, right? I can make it a lot better. If I spend 5 minutes with it, I can make it answer really well. But that access to computing, so when you have 30 computers, those computers should be working 24 hours a day. Now, you can't do it 24 hours a day practically, but you can open the lab at 6:30 in the morning, right? Let whoever wants to come and let them, remove their shoes or whatever the protocol that you have is fine. They come, they use the computer. Maybe somebody has to walk around, a prefect or someone has to walk around, make sure the students are not doing something inappropriate, right? But the fact that they can use it means they will learn something. And you might get one kid out of that group, might become the next Bill Gates, might become the next Elon Musk. You don't know, right? That's the beauty of humanity. You never know which person is going to be the person who changes the world next. So having the resources means please open it out to anybody to use, especially after school, right? If you're having clubs after school for people to play athletics or play cricket, play rugby, play chess, play computer, it should be one of those.
Yeah. Sanjiv, I would like to, Sanjiv, with your permission, add something here which you mentioned earlier, right? Is that because Dr. Weerawarana mentioned about about something going wrong, and then, for example, our education reforms, just something happens, and then we try to abandon the reforms, right? So the thing is, so that's why principals, we call this principal leaders, because as a leader, you have to go when the situation is tough. The situation is not always nice and conducive or positive, right? So because I did political science, right? So the definition of a superpower is you must be able to go, right, to move forward when the chips are down, which means when things are difficult, when people are attacking you, then you must be able to go. That is leadership. So I just wanted to make this point because otherwise something simple happens, because Sanjiva, because these are things that can happen in a school situation, right? I mean, that's why you mentioned it, right? So your students accessing inappropriate websites, for example, right? So the thing is, so my invitation to all the principals is don't be put off by these situations. You will definitely face those situations. It's not in my mind, Sanjiva, I don't know about you, but it's not a if, it's going to be when. It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So the thing is, so you have to be prepared. in Project Transform, you can ask my members, they are here, right? I always tell them, look at the worst case scenario. Don't look at the best case scenario. What is the worst thing that can happen? Okay, and prepare for it, right?
Yeah.
This I'm not advocating negative thinking, right? But this is leadership. Leadership is all about that. So we, as leaders, as education leaders, we need to be fully prepared. We can't be found napping, right? What are the when we so Principal Anoma, so when you open your 30 computers to students, you have to be prepared, right? You have to be mentally prepared to handle negative situations because they're going to come, right?
Yeah,
It-
and it'll become very difficult because what will happen is one student will do something wrong. Their parents will get angry. They might go and get the temple or the priest or somebody to support it and have a protest saying the school is allowing children to or is encouraging children to do something wrong. Right? That's when leadership steps in. That is when you have to be confident and explain. First of all, technology is here to stay. We can't hide our head in the sand and say, you don't need to use these things. You can be without it. There is no way to live without these things anymore. You won't be able to get a job. The way the world is going, anybody who is doing something average can be done by AI. It's only going to get worse. So being somebody who doesn't know this stuff is going to make it very, very difficult. So the explanation as a leader has to be technology is part of our life. We have to learn to use it responsibly. When somebody does something wrong, the solution is not to throw everything. Solution is to find a way to prevent that from happening again. That's it. That's why I said if you're opening the lab, have a prefect or a teacher or somebody who monitors it. Right? And yes, sometimes things will get through. It's okay. Remember, we all did everything that we were supposed not to do. Right? I did for sure. I'm sure everybody as a child, all of us, we were children. When all of us were children, we didn't do everything we were supposed to do. That's why we are here.
So if I may, Sanjiva, add to what Dr. Weerawarana said. So we have to be as principal leaders, we have to be prepared for these situations, and also as Sanjiva mentioned, we should be able to communicate to our stakeholders, which are the principals, the game priest, the village priest, and all that, as to what we are trying to do here. So that communication is an important piece as leaders, because communication is the language of leadership, right? Okay, so as principals, we need to communicate, and we need to prepare ourselves ahead of time. Sister Gertrude, I would like to get your feedback on what we've been discussing so far. Is it practical for you, what we've been discussing? Is it possible to
Yeah.
implement this in your school? And if you can
Yes,
give us
sir.
some background about computers and how you use them in your school, sister.
Yeah. I am from St. Agnes Palika Vidyalaya, Balangode. And so we have a computer lab, one lab. 45 to 50 students work in that lab per period. And to tell you, sir, it is a lab given to the school in 1988. And we have only at the moment 5 computers are working. But recently we got some tabs for the students to use from a project of the government. So there are 50 tabs, but we know the capacity of the tabs is very limited, no? But we have requested to have some computers to the school. But anyway, children are using it. I'm happy the way the students are using. They are eager to learn the subject, eager to learn the subject. So I am happy during the school hours only. Of course, we are using that during the school hours, but we get the maximum benefit of that. When the teachers are not coming to the school or taking leave, we have asked the teachers to have the assignments, the home, give the students, have some presentation prepared for the students so that they can go to the smart room and use the smart room. We have only smart board and they are in this one classroom. So the students, there is no teacher, they can go there and use the smart board. That the teacher will have some lessons in that, stored the lesson in that computer. So that's how at the moment we are working, sir, in the school. So what that sir was speaking today, Mr. Sanjiva, it's something that struck me. Because at the first, sir was speaking about the importance of human relationships. So that's true. The school is the place where the students come together from different environment backgrounds, and they come to know each other. The happiest time is that the students have. The unforgettable time is their school time, even for us, no? But using the computer, of course, we are also very much strict, sir. We have to be very strict because these students don't know how to use it. Still, the students do not know how to use it. So I feel the training of their conscience is very important in the school level. How to use it for the good or for the bad. They don't know whether this is bad. So when something happens only, we give all the restrictions. We get the parents and we tell them this what they have done. So say sometimes they use send photos for their, even for a birthday party or something. They use send photos for their all the parents. So sometimes they are misused. These photos are misused to in a bad way. So because of these incidents that come to the school, we had to have some restrictions. But anyway, if this new system of the reformations also this technology for life, there's a subject, technology for life. So if it is, if the students are trained from their childhood, how these technologies used in a very effective way, it's better. So that's what I was thinking.
Sanjiva, you want to respond to that, Sister Gertrude?
Yeah. Couple of things, Sister Gertrude. First thing is on tabs versus computers.
Yes.
Right? So I think it is no longer true. Let me back up. I started using a computer in 1982 or 83. I did a bachelor's degree from 1985 till 88, then a master's and a PhD. And the computer that I used to do my PhD work has less power than the computer in this CPU in my phone today. Right?
Yeah.
So, and one more thing I will tell. I used to deliver along with Professor Gihan Dias, who's currently at Moratuwa University. I was involved in delivering email to Sri Lanka in 1990 to 92, right? We used to deliver email every single day. Sri Lanka didn't have any email. I was a graduate student at Purdue University. All the mail used to come to the computer I had at Purdue University. I would make an international phone call every single day at 6 o'clock in the evening, because that's when the phone rates were cheaper, and call a computer that was in Moratuwa University and deliver and pick up mail through phone, and then it would get distributed in Sri Lanka, right? That connection was running at what is called 1200 baud. 1200 baud means about 120 bytes per second, right? Today we talk about if you have a 4G connection, you'll get 20-30 megabytes. That is 20-30 million bytes per second, right? In megabits actually, but whatever, right? So I said 10 million bytes or 10 million characters per second. In 1990, we used to deliver email to all of Sri Lanka at 100 characters per second, right? So technology, the computer you can buy for $100 or it's a very small amount of money today. So let's say for 30,000 rupees, if you buy a computer, that computer is more powerful than what I did my PhD work on. So this idea that a tablet is not powerful is, in my opinion, not accurate. And also, I think tablets are easier to maintain and easier to use than computers, than traditional computers where you have a full keyboard. Everybody finds it easy to use this touch thing. Just touch it and it does something, right? And when you need to type, the keyboard comes. the computer, traditional design of the computer is intimidating because the screen is blank and I have a keyboard in front of me. Now I figure out what to do. In a tablet, there's a bunch of buttons I can touch. And if I need to type something, a keyboard pops up, right? So I think it is very important that people learn to use that experience, because that is very much the future of the computing experience, where computing is not an intimidating experience, but a natural experience. The second part of that is most of the computing, especially with AI, is being done on the internet somewhere else. So all I have is an access device. It's not where the computing runs. So even if I use, now, for example, I use primarily Google documents for writing things. That the word processing engine is not running on my machine. It's running in the server somewhere, right? So all I need is something that can take my characters in and send it and get it back. So I think the computing power that we have available, we should accept that if I have an internet connection, even the lowest end computer is more than enough to do anything now. Right? So I think that's an important point for people to consider.
Yes,
Traditional computer labs are more difficult to manage. You can't, remember, sister, there was a time when books first came out, people were arguing saying books are dangerous. People will read all kinds of bad things, right? And books had to be read under constraint. I had to tell you exactly this book is all you can read. Right? Now I can go to the public library and take any book on any topic I want, right? And nobody says no to taking that book. A tablet can, with AI internet connection, is kind of like that. So when it's turned off at night, it is serving nobody. Letting the student take it, letting the teacher take it and go and do something is much more valuable, because the computer is doing nothing and it dies in 3 to 5 years. Now you mentioned you have had the lab from 1988 and you have only 5 working
Yes.
computers. You have something else, right? But I hope you don't have the computers from 1988 in there, right? So it's
Yeah.
great that you had a lab from 1988. You're one of the earliest schools, I'm sure, that had it, right? But so you know very well the computers don't last. So if you don't, whether you use them or not, they die. If you don't use them and they die, you have less value from it. And this thing about things doing wrong, again, the analogy is books. There was a time when people were told giving books to everybody is a dangerous thing to do. Right? Same thing was said about radio. Having information that goes to everybody is a dangerous thing. Right? And TV, having information go to everybody is a dangerous thing. But we have gotten over it. And we found the right way to balance. So yes, there will be some mistakes. Some students will do the wrong thing. But parents have a responsibility as well. Parents need to teach people. And in the end, again, my position is all of us did things that our parents thought we shouldn't do. Right? And over time, we learned what we can do, what we can't do. Yeah. And what is acceptable in certain environments, what is not acceptable in certain environments. Right? And so and again, this is personal choice. My position with my kids was always, I will give you the guidelines and the framework to operate in. But I don't have my eyes on you the whole time. When you leave home and you're with your friends, you're going to do what you're going to do. Right? I can't completely control you. Only up to a certain age, 10, 11, 12, you can completely control. After that, you can only give rules to operate with it. So I think the same thing applies for computing. Because especially even if my family doesn't have a phone, somebody who's a friend has a phone, and that phone has an internet connection. I can look at whatever I want. That is the reality today.
Yes.
Yeah. Sister, if Mr. Nagantiraja, we are going to come to you. We are not ignoring you. But just want to address Sister Gertrude's point, which is going to be very valid. And I think the principals are not going to talk about it. It's like the elephant in the room, right? About misuse, right? Sister, also to add to what Sanjiva said, is also, because Sanjiva mentioned about guidelines, right? And, that is something which is important to set the guidelines so that sister, and maybe even to have it printed so that when something goes wrong, you have a way of protecting yourself. You can say, look, we have very strict guidelines about computer use. However, if abuse happens, we will address that, right?
Yes.
So maybe written down guidelines might help. And also,
Yes.
one more thing, sister, is about, I was doing a part-time job when I was in university in the US, right? And there was this, inspirational quotes written
Yeah.
all over the place. And one of those quotes was about, the teacher's job is not just to teach, but to kindle in the student, right, a love for learning. That is what we should aspire to do, not just cover the syllabus, right? Because we need to cover the syllabus, as Sanjiv said, to pass the O-level syllabus, right? But are we as education leaders, are we actually inculcating a love for learning in the students? Because if we do that, the learning happens automatically, right? And as Dr. Veerawarana said, the other stuff, you do it at home or do somewhere else, but not in school. Right? In school,
Yes.
you use the school computers for learning. Other stuff you do it privately, right? But don't do it in school. So like guidelines like that, sister, might be
Yes.
helpful. Now, for example, I was just thinking about the example of you're calling the parents and giving them a lecture. So,
Yes.
sister, I mean, of course, you're free to do as the leader of your school, but also we need to, as leaders, we have to be also careful the consequences of our actions. Because if we bring the parents and lecture them, they are going to maybe hammer their son or daughter, right? And I don't know whether that is going to be a good thing in the long run. So is there another way of handling this situation, is what I'm asking, basically, right? Because otherwise we are punishing students for using technology. It could be viewed as that. So this is
And
So
at least for me,
Sanjiv,
Sanjiv,
yeah, Sanjiva, yeah, please.
yeah, I just want to add something. At least for me, when I was a child, whenever I got punished, what I learned was, damn, I need to find a better way to not get caught.
There you
And
go.
I pulled it off most of the time.
Yeah. So
not
sister,
really
so
punishing,
that's
sir.
yeah. So sister, that's the advice to you as well, right?
Yeah.
So tell your
Not really
students to find
punishing, sir.
find ways of doing things, where they
Yes.
are not caught. Right. Because of course these are not illegal things, right? Maybe they are not moral, but they are not illegal. Sir, Mr. Nagantharaja, I'm very sorry to keep you waiting. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You
Good
can,
morning, all of you.
yeah, you can ask in Tamil also because we have a Tamil translator.
I'm this is my mother language, Tamil.
Okay. Yeah. We have Mr. Nagandraja. You can, if you want, you can. Mariam, I hope you're here, right? You can
Okay.
ask in Tamil, and we will
Tamil.
translate
Oh,
that
Tamil.
to English, and the response will be in English.
I am discuss Tamil. ஓகே சார், நான் நினைக்கிறேன் ஒரு நல்ல தலைப்பிலே இன்றைக்கு நாங்கள் கலந்துரையாடி கொண்டிருக்கின்றோம். அதிபர்கள் விசனரி லீடர்ஸாக இருக்க வேண்டும் என்பது இன்றைய தேவைப்பாடாக இருக்கிறது. அந்த வகையிலே இந்த தலைப்பை முன்னெடுக்கின்ற உங்கள் எல்லோருக்கும் என்னுடைய நன்றி. நான் கடந்த ஆண்டினுடைய இறுதி பகுதியிலே ஒரு புதிய பாடசாலைக்கு சென்றிருக்கிறேன். இப்பொழுது நான் துணுக்காய் அரசினர் தமிழ்கலன் பாடசாலை ஒரு தரம் 11 வரையான பாடசாலையிலே கல்வி கற்பித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். அதிபராக கடமையாற்றிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். அது முல்லைத்தீவு மாவட்டத்தில் இருக்கின்ற ஒரு கிராமப்புற பிள்ளைகளை கொண்ட ஒரு பாடசாலை. இன்றைக்கு நாங்கள் தொழில்நுட்பத்தை எவ்வாறு கலை திட்டத்திலே அல்லது பாடசாலைகளிலே முன்னெடுப்பது என்பது தொடர்பாக பேசிக் கொண்டிருக்கின்ற இந்த தருணத்திலே அந்த பாடசாலையிலே ஒரு கம்ப்யூட்டர் லேப் இருக்கிறது. ஆனால் அந்த பாடசாலையிலே இயங்கக்கூடிய நிலையிலே ஒரு கம்ப்யூட்டர் தான் இருந்தது. நாங்கள் உடனடியாகவே எங்களுடைய பாடசாலை விஷனை முன்கொண்டு செல்வதற்காக எங்களுக்கு உதவக்கூடிய அந்த பிரதேசத்தில் இருக்கின்ற புலம்பெயர் தேசத்தில் இருக்கிற பழைய மாணவர்களை அணுகி 4 கம்ப்யூட்டர்களை பெற்றிருக்கின்றோம். எங்களுடைய பாடசாலை ஒரு அபிவிருத்தி பாடசாலையை தெரிவு செய்யப்பட்டதன் காரணமாக இப்பொழுதுதான் ஒரு ஸ்மார்ட் போர்ட் கிடைத்திருக்கிறது. இந்த ஆண்டினுடைய எங்களுடைய திட்டமாக எங்களுடைய பாடசாலையில் இருக்கிற 80 பிள்ளைகளும் கணினிகளை பாவிக்கக்கூடிய பிள்ளைகளாக மாற்றி அமைத்தல் என்பது எங்களுடைய பிரதானமான இலக்காக கொண்டு நாங்கள் எங்களுடைய வேலையை ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம். முதல்ல எங்களுடைய பிள்ளைகள் கணினி அறிவை பெற்றுக் கொள்வதும், அதனைத் தொடர்ந்து எங்களுடைய ஆசிரியர்களை கொண்டு நாங்கள் நவீன தொழில்நுட்ப முறைகளை கற்றலுக்குள்ளே உட்புகுத்தி இன்றைய உலகின் தேவைகளை அறிந்து அதன் கூடாக கல்வியை வழங்கக்கூடிய ஒரு பாடசாலையாக எங்களுடைய பாடசாலையை மாற்றிக்கொள்வதற்கான முயற்சிகளை முன்னெடுக்கிறோம். அந்த வகையிலே தொடர்ச்சியாக நான் இந்த பிரின்சிபல் லீடர்ஷிப் ப்ரோக்ராமிலே இணைந்து உங்களோடு சேர்ந்து வந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். நான் நினைக்கிறேன் எங்களுடைய எதிர்கால சிந்தனைகளுக்கு இந்த ப்ராஜெக்ட் டிரான்ஸ்ஃபார்ம் எங்களுக்கு உறுதுணையாக இருக்கும் என்ற நம்பிக்கையோடு என்னுடைய கருத்துக்களை முன்வைத்து சுருக்கமாக நிறைவு செய்கிறேன். நன்றி.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nagantharaja. Mariam, could you translate that into English, please? Yes, so that Sanjiva can answer. Thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, the principal is thanking the whole Project Transform team, and this kind of webinars is very supportive, and this interactive session is very thoughtful and giving a lot of thoughts to him on developing his school. So, and this visionary leadership, which is a very significant topic, is a very good. He thinks it has a very good topic and a new innovative idea that principals should think. And then next, he said that in the last year, he went for a new school, which is a very small school in a village, and it just has up to grade 11. And it's a very small, as it's a very small village school, they only have one computer with a lab. Although they have a lab, they have only one computer which is using. And he thinks that as Project Transform thinks, he thinks all the students should be able to use computers. So he has took help of the villagers who are the past pupils of those school, and he somehow exceeded the amount of computers up to 4 at the moment, because to make his vision forward, that he thinks in 2026 he had the vision that every student should be able to use computers. And now after the school is named as a developing school or something by government, now they have got a smart board, and even though they have the smart board and computers, they don't still have the teachers or students practiced or very fluent in using these devices. So he's planning some different kind of training programs for teachers and students to use this forward. And he thinks that the computers are the upcoming world, and all the students, teachers, and everyone should go with the technology and technological development. So his vision for 2026 will be uplifted and helped and grown by this Project Transform webinars. So he will be continuously joining the webinars as well. So he's thanking the whole team, and he said that he will be joining the webinars in the future as well.
Thank you, Mariam. Sir, this just because there was quite a few things that you said in terms of Mr. Nagantharaja, what Dr. Weerawarana said in terms of the specific things, right? For example, for your computers to be running for, say, I don't know, 10-20 hours a day.
Yes.
How practical is that? Is that something that you can do? That's number one. Number two is also the internet connectivity. Also, if you can please talk to us about not only the students but also the teachers, because Sanjiva also mentioned about teachers using this, right? Yeah. If you can comment on those, please, sir. You can answer in Tamil if you want. We can get it translated.
எங்களுடைய பாடசாலையிலே நாங்கள் இன்டர்நெட் பாவனை பாதிக்கக்கூடிய நிலையில இருக்கிறோம். நாங்கள் வைஃபை ரவுட்டர்ஸ் அதன் மூலமாக இன்டர்நெட் கனெக்ஷனை பெற்றிருக்கிறோம். அதற்கூடாக நாங்கள் கணினிகளை இன்டர்நெட் கனெக்ஷன் செய்து பிள்ளைகளுக்கு தேவையான புதிய விடயங்களை பெற்றுக் கொடுக்கக்கூடிய வாய்ப்புகள் வசதிகள் இருக்கின்றன. நிச்சயமாக அதனை நாங்கள் பாவிக்கக்கூடியதாக இருக்கும்.
Thank you.
Yeah, so they have internet connection and they have Wi-Fi routers as well. So the computers are connected to internet, and the 4 computers that they are using, they are connected to internet and they are taking the maximum out of it.
Yeah, are the teachers using it?
Yes, teachers and student also.
Both
Okay.
are.
Okay, right. Yeah, Sanjiva, would you like to comment? And also, Sanjiva, if you could basically comment on, because it seems to me that the schools are having an issue with, like people not knowing the technology. Maybe the students can teach the teachers on this, the technology.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the teachers having a smartphone is a critical thing now. So I actually gave a budget proposal 2 years ago, which didn't get adopted, but which was about saying every 3 years the government should give a allocation of 25,000 rupees to every teacher to buy a smartphone for themselves. Teacher salaries are very low, so they can't afford to buy very good phones. But teachers, if the teacher doesn't have access to the tool, can't expect them to teach the students how to use the tool. Right. So I think it is critically important that we find a way to get that done. And most people have bought themselves a phone somehow, but it is it is something I think as a country we have to invest into education. That is the only way forward for us, every country really. So that's important. So I think I think from what Mr. Nagaraja said, given the constraints of the environment, they are doing a great job of using it. My only thing is, again, please don't keep these things locked up after school hours. It is just getting destroyed when you leave it locked up and nobody using it. If it is computers, people can't take it home. If it is tablets, I strongly encourage at least letting the teacher take it home. Even if the teacher's child plays with it at home, somebody is learning with it instead of the computer being off, doing nothing. Right? When the computer is off doing nothing, it does nothing other than waste money. Okay, if you look at the life of a computer, if you spend 50,000 rupees buying a computer, if it lasts 3 years, every hour has a price to it. And it is not lasting 10 years because you use it for 1/10 of the time. It won't last 9 years because you use it for 1/3 of the time. It will still die in 3 years. That's the way computers work. Right? So it is critically important that whatever resources you have, please use it as many hours of the day as possible. And even if it is without an internet connection, you can do something with it. You can play a game. You can, that was one of the things that ChatGPT, when I asked that question, it said use disconnected things, right? Give things that work without connectivity. So it's really important, I think, that we, because this is to me, this is the biggest problem in many institutions. The leaders of the institutions insist that the resources be used only during those hours in a very constrained way. And you are the leaders of the institutions if you're a principal. I don't know the rules in the government enough to say that you are allowed to do it, right? I know there are lots of rules that prevent you from doing various things. So if the rules allow you to do it, please allow people to use it much more.
Sure, sir. Sure. நிச்சயமாக நீங்கள் சொன்னது போல நாங்கள் பாடசாலை நேரத்துக்கு மேலதிகமாக மாலை நேரங்களிலும் சரி கிடைக்கின்ற நேரங்களை எல்லாம் பிள்ளைகளுக்காக பயன்படுத்துவதற்கான புதிய திட்டங்களை உருவாக்கி இருக்கிறோம். ஆசிரியர்களை மட்டுமல்லாமல் இவற்றை வழங்கக்கூடிய எங்களுடைய சூழலில் இருக்கின்ற பழைய மாணவர்கள், அதனை போன்ற ஏனைய வளவாளர்களை கொண்டு இந்த ஆண்டிலே நான் ஏற்கனவே சொன்னது போல முழுமையாக பிள்ளைகளுக்கு கணனி அறிவை கொடுப்பது மட்டுமல்லாமல் முடிந்த வரைக்கும் நாங்கள் பாடசாலையிலே இந்த புதிய விடயங்களை கற்பிப்பதற்கு இணையத்தையும் கணினிகளையும் இணைத்து பிள்ளைகளுக்கான வேலைகளை செய்வதற்கு தயாராக இருக்கிறோம். உங்களால் வழங்கப்பட்ட ஆலோசனைக்கு நன்றி. தேங்க்யூ சார். தேங்க்யூ.
Yeah, Mariam.
Yeah, so he thanks for the project as well. He says that as their New Year vision he previously mentioned, they are using the computers, and as well he said that he will be allocating the evening time for usage of the computers and the internet for students as well, with the guidance of the villagers and past pupils.
All right.
Right.
Great. Thank you, sir. There are other principles as well, and Dr. Veerawarana was, one of his proposals, actions for us as education leaders, as principals, was to have access to give access to the internet for students and teachers. I just want to ask from all the principals present here, Principal Anoma's Sister Gertrude, of course, did mention, Principal Nilanka and Principal Shashikala, is in your schools, right? In your school, in your particular school, I mean, do you have at least one computer with internet access? Is there somebody? Is there at least? Does your school actually have at least one computer with internet access? That's my question to you, because that's something which is important for us to know. So so Principal Anoma, Sister Gertrude said she has, and also Mr. Nagantiraj also spoke. Principal Nilanka, Principal Shashikala, does your school have at least one computer or tablet with internet access that the students and teachers can use? You can unmute and answer, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Actually,
morning.
I'm in a busy moment now.
Yes.
Anyhow, I will give my response. In my case, in our school, have more than 50 computers, as well as the internet connection is also there. So the thing is that the number of students, the computers are not sufficient.
Okay.
In that case, I have used. I gave the opportunity for the students to use the computers after school as well as in the morning sessions. So anyhow, I can manage it. And in my case, almost all the classes in A levels and grade 10, 9, 10, 11 classes, they have smart boards in their classrooms. The thing is that there's a problem with us giving the internet facilities, supporting them with the internet facilities, because the students, when the teachers are not in the classroom and after school, I have already found that they have misused the facility. So that's a big problem for us. So that's the opinion in my side.
Yeah. Principal Shashikala, so you said you have 15, that is 15 or 50 computers?
50.
50. Okay, great.
In my case, I have already started the computer studies from grade 1 onwards.
Excellent.
So we have provided a guidebook for the students from grade 1 to 5 in primary section. In primary section, we have only 20 computers there. So one computer is shared by 2 students. Actually, the parents, they also like this program, and they willingly do everything for the students for their future endeavors.
Thank you, Principal Shashika. Principal Nilanka, in your school, do you have at least one computer with internet access that students and teachers can use? Principal Nilanka? Principal Nilanka? Gone for breakfast? Okay. Principal Sharak Khan? Principal Sharak Khan? In your school, do you have at least one computer and with internet connection?
Yeah, good morning all. Actually, I have 4 computers and 1 smart board.
Okay.
Last October, I got the internet section SLT Mobitel.
Okay. Right.
And then in A level, we are doing ICT also one subject. And also, I have one ICT graduate teacher. Continuously, we are giving training for people for new technology.
Sir, have you, because your last point was that you need training for the new technology, Have you used your own students? Because the students, the university students whom I work with, I ask them all these technical questions. See, even this morning before before the webinar started, I was asking them questions. So the younger generation knows this technology better than us. Have you tried that route, Principal
Yeah,
Shankar?
actually, we are giving training for smart board training for students.
Okay.
Normally, practical sessions only given for ICT sessions.
Okay. Right. Okay. So this is an invitation to you, Principal Sharak Khan. I think we should use our students because they know technology better than us to actually to teach. I mean, I don't know about Sanjiva, but I get my two kids to tell me about technology, to teach me stuff. I got my daughter to teach me Canva last week. So I mean the students really, I mean, sorry, the younger generation really know the technology. So it's good to use them as well in our endeavors. So
Thank you, sir.
yeah, thank you very much. I think we got feedback from all the principals. Any other questions that the principals have for Dr. Weerawarana before we close the webinar for today? Any questions, clarifications? Now is your time. I'll give you 10 seconds to ask any questions, principals. I sense that there are no questions. Sanjiva, would you like to have some closing comments before we close the webinar?
I guess the school is the first structured environment every child lives in, and the things they learn in the school are not related. I mean, are not only the knowledge they're taught through the syllabuses they follow. It is how to operate in a structured environment, how structured environments work, and they carry that forward for the rest of their life for everything they do. So the person who sets the tone for that structured environment is the school principal. My mother was a school teacher. She was teaching at multiple schools, and then she was also at teacher training college. She was a lecturer there. She was at NIE, and then she retired. She still teaches. She's 84 years old, and that environment of the school, and I know from her time in different schools, the principal in the school made her life as a teacher great or miserable, right? So the leader of the school is the one who sets a tone for not only the teachers, but for the hundreds and thousands of students who go through that school. And the first and only structured environment they will go through until they're 18 for the most part. So I think it is really the power and the opportunity you have to shape the lives of children is immense. So I think creating an environment that is open-minded about technology, is open-minded about failure, about innovation, about creativity, about challenging the system, about coming up with better ideas. I know these things are easy to say, it's very difficult to do. But in the end, every difficult step starts with some small action you take. I have also done stuff which are difficult to do, and I don't approach the most difficult end of that spectrum. I start with the smallest thing I can do. So I think my advice is, if you're a principal, think and see what one restriction you might be able to relax with some amount of safeguards, because you can't allow children to take undue risks, that I understand, with the right amount of safeguards. But is there one restriction you can reduce that will make it more interesting and more inspirational for the children? That is what the school needs to be. It's institutional, yes, but inspirational is really, really important. That would be my request. Thank you for the opportunity.